Hello and welcome to Politically Polite. I'm your host Jacob, and so today we're going to be talking about the Greenland situation and how Trump has been talking about it. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, and I'm going to be talking about the possible invasion or non-invasion, or as to why I think that there won't be an invasion. So the thing is I don't actually think there's going to be an invasion. And everybody is talking about that there's going to be an invasion, and that Trump is going to order the military to invade Greenland, and that there's going to be this dramatic invasion like they've seen in previous wars and conflicts, and that we're going to see like a Maduro style raid or whatnot, and then they're just going to go after the prime minister or whatever, and it's going to be like that. I disagree. I think that this is a totally different situation. This is a country that is backed by NATO. This is a country that is that is allied with Canada. This is a country that is allied with obviously a protectorate of Denmark, and is this will be bring a big shitstorm, with NATO. I highly doubt that that the United States would sanction, or even that the Congress would even agree to go to war with Greenland, and then of course Denmark and NATO, and it's insane to actually think that they would invade Greenland. I think that's completely absurd. Just like the remarks from last year, that of making Canada of the 51st state, and everybody was all the news cycle was talking about how Trump is going to invade Canada, and people, and you had Canadians talking about Trump is going to invade Canada, and you had the news cycle and all these news stations. Trump he's insane. He's going to invade Canada, and it's going to happen. You'll see. He's going to invade Canada, and it's all this clickbait of, he's going to invade Canada, and it's like, well, is he really? No, he didn't, right? And I was telling people back then, he's not going to invade Canada. And from a legal perspective, okay, he's not going to do that. And people were saying, well, he's going to purchase Canada. He's going to buy Canada from... He's going to buy Canada. And it's like, well, hang on. Time out a second. Who the hell is he going to buy Canada from? Who? Right? Canada's an independent country, right? We're not owned by England anymore, right? So who the hell is he going to buy Canada? Now, in Greenland's situation, they could be bought technically by Denmark. Is that likely? Probably not, right? Would they agree to that? It's hard to say, right? Probably not. Maybe. Could the United States afford it? Yes. Is that likely as well? Probably not. Is the United States going to acquire Greenland in some way, shape, or form? Probably not, right? I don't think so, right? Is the United States going to acquire Canada? Also, probably not. At least, probably not in the next few years. Now, in the next 10 years, next 15 years, maybe. But in the next few years, probably not. Now, the thing is, it is now I'm saying probably not. It's not possible, right? Not impossible, just improbable, right? Now, the thing with Canada is even less possible or improbable, but we're talking about Greenland mostly, and I'll do a dedicated video on the Canada situation in a totally dedicated video for that. So watch out for that video. But specifically on the Greenland situation that's unfolding right now, I don't think that he's going to invade Greenland. I think that is very unlikely. If he does, that would be very, very surprising. But I think the main goal here is really not to acquire Greenland. I think what it is, I think what it is it's a power move, to a flexing move to strong arm NATO. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to bully NATO. I think he's trying to force NATO into do one of a few things, or maybe a few different things. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to get NATO to pull their own weight, because he said many times, he said, look, NATO's not pulling their own weight. You know, he's said that many times. He said like they're not, you know, they're not pulling their weight. They're not pulling their weight. They're not committing their troops. They're not committing their money. You know, he says this all the time. So, had to throw in a little impersonation there, but no, but it's true though. He talks about this a lot. He talks about how he's upset that they are not committing their troops. They're not committing their like their deadlines, their money, their whatever, the NATO targets and stuff like that, the percentages of the capacities, the GDP, whatever. And he's talked about how Canada hasn't met it, how various different NATO nations haven't met their obligations and stuff like that. And he doesn't like that the U.S. is the only ones that are meeting those targets. And so I think that he either wants to be rid of NATO, he either wants to get out of NATO, right? Wants to see NATO dissolved, right? And that could be another possibility, because he might see NATO as a thing of the past and wants to renegotiate some kind of new treaty, or maybe wants to see himself, get America out of, get out of like NATO somehow or whatever, so that they don't end up getting dragged in. Because what you have to understand is NATO benefits more from their own partnership and stuff like that in Europe. Like Canada and America, we don't really benefit as much from it as the Europeans do. The Europeans are benefiting more from NATO than we do, right? We get dragged into a lot of NATO's own problems, if you understand that. So, like, in my opinion, I think that we should get out of NATO. I think we should, we shouldn't have anything to do with NATO. So maybe this is a way for him to sever ties with NATO. Maybe he's trying to push the buttons of NATO and piss NATO off to be kicked out. Maybe he's trying to play 4D chess with these guys, and trying to get them to kick him out of NATO. Maybe I don't know what's actually really going on. I can't get into his head, but I think I understand what's going on a little bit, and I think I understand that he is not he's not doing this from the idea of let's invade Greenland. I think it's more of the point of trying to keep Greenland from being under the influence of China or Russia, and trying to have less of of that NATO influence. But also another thing that it could be as well, and I was thinking about this, is another thing that it could be too is that maybe he just wants to be able to increase the U.S. presence there. For example, you got Tula Air Force Base, for example. Um, he could just want to drastically increase presence there so that he could have that extra presence there. Um, maybe it's a negotiation tactic, but I definitely think this is some sort of strong arming negotiation tactic. I do not think it's about taking over Greenland. I do not think that. I think we're missing. I think that mainstream media, I think people are missing the mark on this. I think they are missing his strategy. I think they don't understand how Trump thinks. I think that they don't realize that he is not a politician, that he is a businessman. And this is not how he thinks about strategy, right? So when he's talking about other he's the way he's talking and the way he's hinting around things and stuff like that, I don't think he's talking about invasion. I really don't. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I strongly don't believe that the United States is going to invade Greenland. I think that it is a negotiation tactic that he is using to, I don't know what exactly, but I think in the coming months and weeks or whatever that we are going to see exactly, obviously, what it is that is going to happen. But I think that I do think that what's happening right now is a type of negotiation tactic that he's trying to do, and that he's trying to leverage something. But whatever it is, I think it has to do with NATO, and I don't necessarily think that it has to do directly with resources, or the taking of Greenland or expansionism. But let me know what you think in the comments. And I'm going to do a dedicated video on Iran, and I'm going to, and protesting and all that stuff, and the revolution and all that stuff. And I'm going to do a dedicated video on the situation in Canada as well. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next video.